You can't atone for that much blood and that many souls.
Right, you can't keep snakes in your backyard and expect them only to bite your neighbors.
You know, there are things that Pakistanis have done as complicated.
Homeland, superpowers. Of course, this title refers to the unofficial subtitle this episode is being given by me, called Carrie Off Her Meds. Now, we know what Carrie off her meds can be like. It's not a pretty picture, and she warns her boyfriend of this. She says, I might get nasty, it might get ugly, it's probably not going to get physical, but you need to be there with the lithium and with the sedative when I need it. And the main thing in this episode that kind of bothered me a little bit is the fact that he was not ready. Despite the warnings, he gave up on her, and he basically walks out. He finds out that she's responsible for killing, it was 167 civilians in her days as the drone queen, and he's incensed. He says, you're basically a war criminal. How do you live with yourself? And what I want to know is, what did he think she did for the CIA? Make coffee for everyone? What was his expectation dating Carrie Matheson? I feel like his outrage was a little false. And I was watching this episode with a friend of mine who commented, 167 people, that's really nothing. 88,000 people were killed in one firebombing attack over Tokyo in World War II. 88,000. My suggestion to Jonas is to crack open a history book. So the shot of Carrie sitting so calmly the next morning with all the pictures of the people that she's killed and their families around her, it was a beautiful shot. It was well done. And she's just smiling at him. And you know that she's completely off the rails at this point. And her screaming at the photo of Haqqani. And then, of course, her dealing with the ghost of Ayan, the person who she probably feels, that she killed in the most cold blood. She led him right to his death knowingly for her own gains and her own purpose. It was really very well done. I've read some reviewers who said, why couldn't they get Brody to come back? We've already done that. It would have been just more of the same to have him do another sort of cameo in a drunken, hallucinogenic state. We've already seen that. Ayan coming back was much more powerful in this context than Brody would have been. So I applaud them for making that decision to bring that character and that actor back for this scene. It was very, very powerful and very well done. Unfortunately, her going off her meds and this sort of psychedelic journey that she was on, it was all for naught because she does not discern the identity of the person who's trying to kill her. We know that Saul is after her. That's another topic, but who actually set up the roadside bomb and planted the suicide bomber in the crowd to get her? If it wasn't Hezbollah, then who was it? So that's sort of the central mystery here. And the point is that these avenging angels have circled around her, literally and figuratively, to exact their revenge upon the drone queen. And I've been saying since the first episode of this season 5 that, a woman who's gone about her career with a nickname like the Drone Queen can't expect to not have any enemies. And it makes sense now why she's been going to the church and praying, because she's looking for atonement. And I didn't get it at first why she was going to church, but it's part of her trying to leave her old life behind and her trying to seek atonement for the things that she's done and the guilt that she feels. So I thought that finally made sense to me tonight. And I really felt like from a character perspective, it really made sense. This is what she's struggling with. And only off her meds could she really confront it face on. I think we know Quinn was never going to kill Carrie. That was never his plan. He wants to get the whole story. He wants to know why Saul would want Carrie dead. What has she done? He wants to give her the benefit of the doubt and hear her side of the story. And it was a great episode for Quinn. We know the whole time that this is what he's doing. It's not going to, they're not going to kill Claire Danes off her own show. So the drama in it is finding out what is Quinn going to do about it. Now, he's injected her with something at the end of the episode. Was it a truth serum or was it just a powerful sedative, which clearly she needed? And that's what Jonah should have given her, was the sedative. And his quick scene with Astrid in the restaurant, it was a great character moment. It was him sort of so grasping at this normal life that Carrie denied him. And he's been a very compelling character this season so far. Saul, the scene with him on the balcony, just absolutely lying to the Israeli ambassador and giving absolutely zero F's about the U.S. ambassador. He's just doing his own thing. And classic Saul dropping F-bombs. I definitely enjoyed that. And we find out at the end, which was a little bit of a strange moment for me, though, that he has been in bed with Allison, the CIA Berlin station chief, the whole time. And I kind of questioned it at first. I'm like, was this something that they just fell into as a result of him basically saving her ass, and as her way of apologizing for trying to fry him to Dar Dal? No, they've been together the whole time. I'm sure of it, because it's right there in front of you, the answer. When she says, do you mind if we just go to bed tonight? I'm tired. He goes, no, I'm tired too. They're all too comfortable there in bed together. This is something they've done many, many, many times before. I assume Saul is still married. And I don't know what Allison's personal situation is, but it sort of makes sense now why he was able to go and willing to go so far to protect her professionally. She is a great asset, but he really went above and beyond, especially even after Dar said, you're in a very forgiving mood. I guess Dar doesn't know that he's having a relationship with her. That would be a pretty strong conflict of interest, I'm sure. But the scene where he's screaming at her in the office, I've been friends with Dar for 18 years. You didn't think he was going to tell me you thought you could blow up my career so easily? And he holds back a little bit, and he forgives her too easily. And it makes sense now. When Dury meets with Saul, he remarks, I didn't like him much. He seems like a man who's too used to getting his own way. And it's true. Saul has changed a lot since previous seasons. He's much colder. He's more calculated, and he doesn't care. He's just lying to everyone. He's trying to kill Carrie. He's not looking for truth or justice anymore. He's just pursuing his own ends and just pursuing the framework that I'm assuming Dar has laid out for him, the mission statement for the CIA. And finally, in a B plot that I thought was getting a little bit tired, the hackers with the papers and the journalist, it finally comes into relevance. And the hackers, other friend, I think the main hacker's name is what? I don't know, I don't care. But his friend is going to sell the documents to the Russian ambassador. And it is very interesting when you sort of rethink about that scene where the journalist goes back, she puts the flash drive in her computer, and it's just like a cartoon waving the middle finger. That was very confusing at first. I said, why did he go to so much trouble to meet her just to snub her? But it was, of course, it's obvious now that I think about it, it was his friend there, his business partner, who wants the money. Which, frankly, I can respect more than just, sabotaging two governments just to prove a point. At least he has something to gain from it, this other guy. So he swapped the flash drives out, and now he's going to give the files to the Russian ambassador. So finally, we have the Edward Snowden sort of situation that we were promised. We have the Julian Assange sort of proxy, and they're obviously taking some creative license with it. It's not the exact same situation, but it's very interesting to see that now the Russians are going to be players in this, who they have not been players in the show to this point that I recall. So I'm finally interested in that subplot and where they're going to go with that. And it was that act which spurred the whole season into action. And I was willing to leave it at that, to say, these hacktivists, they stole these files, and now because of that, Carrie's a target. Because of that, Allison and Saul's relationship has been put to the test. But now it's going to be its own story, and it seems like things are going to get better before they get worse, is basically what I'm trying to say. So next week, the episode is called Why Is This Night Different? And Carrie and Quinn, after they had their long time coming at the end of season 4, they're going to finally be face-to-face again, and they're going to have to confront their personal and their professional issues. Quinn has to make the decision, is he going to kill her? Of course he's not. But Carrie is going to have to explain the situation to him. Are they going to confront Saul together? Is she going to rejoin the CIA? Or are they going to go rogue together and try to take Saul down? I don't know. It's too early to tell. But the fact that these two characters are finally going to be together again, face-to-face, is going to force them to confront some of their unresolved issues from the end of season 4. Will we ever care about Jonas? I'm glad his son was okay. I definitely cringed a bit when they were putting Franny on that plane. I was just thinking, it would really destroy Carrie if her... I can't even say it out loud, but I was just thinking, if that plane goes down, what would it mean to Carrie? What would it mean to the show? Would I even want to watch a show where they would write something like that in? So there was a lot of sort of emotion for me when they kidnapped the son. Of course, we know Quinn's not going to hurt him, but he's definitely a loose cannon at this point. He's operating under no one's jurisdiction. How far would he go to get to Carrie? But he doesn't hurt the kid, of course. It would be out of character for him to do so. But Jonas, he's he's a non-factor for me. He just sort of was there for Carrie to play off of, and I think he's expended his narrative use at this point. And the fact that Carrie and Quinn are going to be back together, at least, if not physically, on the show, sort of renders Jonas superfluous to me. And should Jonas be sitting with her in a cafe, riding with her in a car? Let me ask you this. If you were dating someone who you know was basically a target, was the victim of a couple unsuccessful assassination attempts, I don't know that I'd want to be sitting in a cafe with them. When the waitress brought them their check or their drinks or whatever, I kind of jumped a little bit because I was expecting, a bomb or something like that. But I got to think, if I'm in Jonas's position, I'd say, well, Carrie, good luck with this. I'm going to be, 100 miles away from you. I hope it works out well for you, especially because he doesn't have any training. He can't do much to actually help her. So next week, why is this night different? And leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. The main questions that I have, and I want people's opinions on, is the relationship with Saul and Allison, is that really false? Or did that make sense to you? And what do you think is going to happen when Carrie and Quinn are in the same room together? Thanks very much again. Please remember to click subscribe. I'll be doing updates as much as I can this season. And thank you very much for watching.